Is this your first winner at Melton?
Second, actually, but first night meeting one, so.
Good girl. Well, that's what you got to do. You come back into this spot, you want to start getting used to it because you're driving good, you're getting a few winners, and you're going very good at the minute.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. I really can't be thankful enough, especially to Paul and Kari for giving me the opportunity, so, yeah.
They are giving you good opportunities, and you're taking them. This horse tonight, you posied up beautiful, but around the bend, you just left a little bit flat-footed. I know you were getting forced wide and just looked a little bit flat-footed, but once you're straight and he knuckled down, he was always going to win down the outside, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, that's right. He's sort of like he knows the go. As soon as we hit the straight, he was off, so, yeah.
Katie, I was just looking at this guy's form. He's been racing stronger horses, as Dan said there, and Dan was alluding it might have been a bit of a confidence booster. He's only won the one race in the last year and a half sort of thing, and is that one of the reasons for just dropping him back into claiming class?
Yeah, most of his runs this prep have been pretty good. Some of them were actually exceptional, but he's just drawing bad in every. He just couldn't draw good, and makes all the difference, as you know. And then he got back to this race tonight, and yeah, he was able to find the front, and you know, it made all the difference. And I'm not surprised he carved out those sectionals and did what he did in front and on the fence, because he just hasn't been there in his last probably 8 runs.
He's actually been going, as you just said then, he's been going very good. Hasn't been beaten far in much harder company. You and Glenn Douglas had a little bit of a battle early on, and probably a little bit strategic on Glenn's behalf too, because I suppose if you give it to you too easy, he may not have been able to keep up with your back later on. But this bloke got a little bit keen, but seemed to relax good. I mean, he's only pulling a feather, so I don't think they pull that hard, but he did seem to relax pretty good for you through the middle sections. Yeah,
no, he did. He found the front and relaxed good, and I wanted to get a breather because I knew the lead time would have been okay, because I did have to ask him to get past Glenn and to turn on a bit, and you know, that's quick enough, 44.5. So we got you know, an easy first quarter after that and a relatively easy second one, and just made sure I got him to go as slow as I could up the back, and he got home, got home really well. But those sectionals are pretty good, but like I said, I'm not surprised that he was able to do that.
Firstly, mate, this is your first win down here, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm real thanks for the owners and Andy for giving me the opportunity to drive a nice trotter like him. And yeah, he done all the work.
Got to have luck in running, mate. You had a lot of it just then early on. You were going to be in an awkward spot. You've ended up behind the leader. Then going down the back straight, you were in another awkward spot for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, no, well, James his horse was running off the track and led us up the inside, and yeah, at the right time. It was good.
Everything worked out very well, but considering it was your first win, mate, I think up the straight, I think about the 150 metre mark, she put a couple of little iffy ones in behind, and you managed just to hold the bit up in the mouth. I mean, you give her a couple of flicks with the whip, but nothing serious, and just get the bit right up in the mouth, and gets a bit nervous when it's your first, trying to get your first win, and the boss is coming up the inside of you. You want to be able to sort of beat them on, but you held onto the bit very well.
Yeah, no, last week I actually thought he was going to trot a lot better, but last week he actually got a bit trotted a bit rough up the straight and galloped. But tonight I was hopefully he trotted good up the straight, and I thought he was going to run a nice race, and he did.
Got a little bit messy there about the 300 metre mark.
Yeah, that's right. You know, she was probably, you know, needed the run. David said she'd had a bit of a freshen up since her last start, so it was good to get a nice economical run on the leader's back. But yeah, when it started to give ground around the turn, I sort of was yeah, a little bit concerned there for a stride or two. But thankfully we were able to get off onto the one out line, and then the gap appeared back towards the inside, and yeah, she hit the line quite well.
Punters at home mightn't be aware, but like a lot of, especially when you're waiting for a sprint lane, this day and age, now the way racing is, it's all about momentum, isn't it? And you've got that decision to make whether you stay or you go, and whether you're going to lose that little bit of momentum. People might think up the sprint lane's the easiest way home, but you've just got to try and keep the momentum rolling sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, exactly, and it also depends on the type of horses. Some horses are obviously very quick off low, slow tempo, can accelerate quite fast, and others really have to wind up into a fast quarter. So yeah, when you're held up waiting for a run, sometimes you're better off going a bit wider and covering more ground on certain horses to wind up to top speed, and others you're better off waiting as long as you can. So it's yeah, they're all different.
Dan just asked a question there before. He's won countless races up the sprint lane. Do you actually have any idea on how many times up the sprint lane here at Melton he might have won?
You know better than ask me a question like that.
Some drivers correct me, mate. Others are a bit like you. So, all right, Dan, we don't get the answer. We didn't get the answer to that one. I spoke to Greg Sugars just there before, and he was in a similar position to yourself there around the home turn. The leader probably not travelling as good as a couple of the others out wider, and Greg decided to get off and keep the momentum going. But as Dan alluded to with this bloke, he loves the sprint lane, so you sort of just got to be patient and just wait for it to come, don't you?
Yeah, look, and I think he loves being held up as long as you can. I'm probably better off, other than Greg, I'm probably better off being half a length back than being out there and running. You know, he likes the length of it. He can wind up pretty quick and hit his straps real quick. So, you know, that's his benefit where I didn't have to be out and running.
Form analyst looked like it got sort of half a length on you at the top of the straight, and you've ended up beating it by half a length. And, you know, 28-1 home, that's a sign of how much speed he's got.
Yeah, correct. And like he's such a good pacer, you can screw him round into the sprint lane, and he doesn't miss a beat. He just keeps going, you know. And that's what I said. That's his credit, you know. You don't have to be out and keep that momentum going. You just get in there. And if I had missed out and ran second, I'd still be happy with him. I love him.
When you let her loose, she ran into the race really strong, didn't she?
She did. She's usually a tough grinding mare, but she sprinted really well tonight.
She did, and a long way up, but then was able to maintain it. Got a little bit willing there towards the end, but it's a little bit of the vagaries of this track with the bend coming up right as you get to the winning post, so it can get a little bit tight and ugly. But she was good up the straight. It was, as I said, it was tight and willing, but you weren't throwing everything at her. You was urging her without throwing in the kitchen sink at her. How's that sound?
Well, she's female. I was talking to her nicely.
The three of us were all in a similar boat. But this horse has struck good form lately, hasn't it? It's been very, very consistent. Won a couple, I think, in about the last 5 and 6 races, and she was probably a little bit in the wilderness before that.
Yeah, she bowed a 10, and after a 2-year-old year, she won the silver of the 2-year-old size, and then bowed a 10, and just taken a long time to get her back. And she's really thrived on a little bit of different work, and she's really consistent now. And as you can see, she's a bit of a temperamental girl, but she's racing well.
Last start, she looked the winner, and she got it a little bit wrong tonight. Around that home turn, Kate was giving it to you a little bit, but her horse doesn't handle the last turns, and you're quite happy to really let this one stride tonight. It wasn't like you were holding her up. Just a way of keeping her on her toes a bit. Was that the plan, or?
Yeah, it was a pretty fun drive tonight. She was just jogging in front, but she's usually pretty good in front, just a little bit lazy, so you've always got to just remind her what she's doing. But just last start, she just wasn't quite right, and sort of in the run you could tell that, and I was trying to nurse her probably a little bit, and just went off stride, you sort of thing with trotters. If things aren't quite right with them, they can do things wrong, and yeah, she just was getting on her knee a little bit, and a couple other little things that Anton and the team have gone and addressed, and she's back to her best tonight.
He was very good tonight, mate.
Oh, he had a pretty good trip, but the last 2 sectionals were about as quick as he can go. So, but he always tries, no matter what, and he's been pretty consistent through his life, and it's good to get another score on the board.
He has an unusual racing pattern. He seems to get off the bits from you from time to time, a long way out. And Dan just called that you were off the bit, but at the same time as he called it, you sort of pushed out into the 2-wide line, and he let down really good, didn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't really get on the bit through the race, really. Like even once they settled, even wasn't very fast early. Doesn't seem to be on the chewy. At the lap to go, you got to give him a little bit of a tap up, and when it comes down to business time, he gets going. He's pretty good.